Good morning, everybody. It's Barb Katie here, and it's another glorious Monday morning. It's a perfect fall day. It's crisp, sunny, the sky is blue, the walk was wonderful, and I'm ready to start the day with all of you. Today, I thought I would share a message from lessons that I learned in childhood. I don't know about you, but it seems as if the older I get, the more significant these lessons learned in childhood seem to be. And I often wonder why they dropped out of my memory bank from time to time, and I forgot to reflect on them because these were important things my parents and my aunts and uncles, my teachers, family members, friends of the family taught me when I was little just by reading me storybooks and telling me tales. And it's been a real joy to wander through some of them with you and think about what they were actually teaching me when I was so little that I really wasn't totally aware of all the important information that they contained. And today's message is no different. It's one I think most of us have heard at some point in time. It's called The Little Red Hen. And the little red hen lived in a barnyard. She spent most of her day pecking around in the barnyard looking for worms to feed her chicks because she was a good mama and she wanted to keep them happy and full and growing strong. She would, gather up whatever she found and she would take it back and they would gather around her and she would feed them. And in the barnyard, of course, there were some other animals that perhaps were not quite as industrious as her, but they were still members of the barnyard as well. One was an old lazy cat that tended to take naps around the barnyard door. Never did much of anything else. Just as long as she was allowed to sleep and get up occasionally and stretch, she was okay. There was also a rat that was there, and he pretty much did it as he pleased for the most part. Occasionally, the cat would chase him just to say, "See, this is what I did." And then there was a pig that lived in the sty, and he did not care much about what else was going on in the barnyard as long as he got enough to eat. He was okay. One day, the little red hen, as she was pecking about, found a seed. It was a wheat seed, and the little red hen was so accustomed to finding bugs and worms, she really thought maybe the sweet seed was some new and delicious kind of meat that she'd never seen before. She bit it gently and found that it resembled a worm in no way whatsoever as to taste, and although it was long and slender, the little red hen might easily have been fooled by its appearance. So she carried it around and made inquiries as to what it might be. And she finally found out it was, in fact, a wheat seed, and that if planted, it would grow. And when ripe, it could be made into flour to turn into bread. When she discovered that, she knew it ought to be planted. She was so busy hunting for food for herself and her family that naturally she thought she ought not to take time to plant it. So she went over to the pig, upon whom time hung pretty heavily, and the cat, who had nothing basically to do, and to the rat, who idled his days away as well, and asked them, "Who will plant the seed?" But three of them said, "Not I, not I, not I." Well, the little red hen just sort of shook her head and she says, "Well, okay, then I will." And she did. So she went about her daily routine all summer long, taking care of her babies, checking on the wheat, watering it when needed, all the things that needed to be done to make sure it grew. And it did grow quite nicely. And come fall, it came time for it to be gathered and threshed. But as will happen with families, very newest chicks of Mrs. Hen were making all kinds of demands on her time. They were peeping about the barnyard, wanting to be fed, wanting to be taken care of. And she was a really good mom, and she did not want to neglect it. She felt really bewildered, a little bit stressed out. And so again, she asked for help. She needed help. She wanted someone to help. And she said, in a very hopeful tone to the cat, the pig, and the rat, "Who will thresh the wheat?" Same answer. The pig said, "Not I." The cat meowed, "Not I." And the rat squeaked, "Not I." So the little red hen looked at it, admitted that this had again fallen to her. And even though she was a little discouraged, she said, "Well, okay, then I will." And she did. Of course, this was not an easy task for her. And she finally managed, though, to get the wheat threshed, got it all down, got it onto the ground, got it into a bag somehow, and ready to go to the miller to grind it into flour. And same question again. She looked at the cat, the pig, the rat for help. She reached out, and again, they were too busy. They could not carry the wheat to the mill to be ground for her. They just turned the backs on her basically and said, "Oh, I don't have time for this. Not me, not me, not me." Well, again, she said, "Okay, then I will." And she did. Carrying the wheat sack, she trudged off to the mill. She finally got there. It was a long, hard drive, and asked the miller if he would grind it into wonderful flour for her. And the miller was happy to do so. When he was finished, he gave it back to her, and she trudged along back home, dragging the sack of flour with her until she got there. And she even managed, in spite of the load she was carrying, to pluck a juicy worm or two in her trip back home, and to bring something home to her babies, who were growing so rapidly and doing so well. Well, after the really strenuous day, Mrs. Hen decided she was going to take a break, sleep through the night, get up and look at things in the morning, and proceed with how the day's direction seemed to take her. She would have liked to have slept in late, but her chicks joined in the morning force in the hen yard and drove all hopes of staying in bed a little bit later away. So even if she was sleepy, barely got her eyes open, she thought, somehow I need to make bread for my family. She was not in the habit of making bread, of course. There were not too many people that she could ask for directions on how to do it, but she found a recipe, and she knew perfectly well that she could do what was necessary. So after her chicks were fed and gotten ready for the day, she again turned to the other members in the barnyard, who seemed to have a lot of time on their hands, and said, "Who will help make the bread?" Same answer. "Not I, not I, not I." So the little red hen said, "Well, okay, I will." And she did, feeling that she might have known all the time she would have to do it all herself. She went and put on a fresh apron and got down to business. When it was time, she brought out the kneading board and the baking tins. She kneaded and molded the bread, divided it into loaves, let it rise, and put them in the oven to bake, while the pig, the cat, and the rat lazily laid around the barnyard, sort of snickering at her as she so busily worked trying to get things done. You could, in fact, occasionally hear the pig snoozing and snoring. So at last, the great moment arrived, and there was a delicious odor filling the autumn breeze. and you could smell fresh baked bread. The little red hen was so excited she couldn't wait to take it out of the oven. And the other animals in the barnyard had begun to smell this delicious scent, and they were gathering around too. She didn't know how it was going to turn out because she'd never baked bread before. But lo and behold, the loaves were just perfect. They were delicious. They were golden. They were just as they should be. Well, the little red hen just sort of looked around the barnyard and she said, well, who will eat the bread? Well, of course, all three chimed right in. I will. I will eat the bread. The little red hen was a little bit contrarian. She said, oh, no, you won't. I will. And she gave it to her family and shared it with her family. And they enjoyed it thoroughly. Well, there are all kinds of morals to this story. And I'll just give you a few of the most popular ones that when I was little, I was told. The first one is the importance of being thrifty. Even though something may have been thrown away by somebody else, like the seed was, it may have value to you if you look at it and you can see the potential in it. And she knew she was fortunate to find that wheat seed, and she made certain it did not go to waste. And the other thing was to always use your initiative. Nobody had to tell the little red hen what to do with the grain seeds. She took the initiative to pick them up and check it out and to learn what she needed to learn about what she found. She took it upon herself to find out rather than to wait for somebody else to tell her. The other things that she did was to plan ahead. She could see that there was potential in those seeds if she was willing to do the work. If she was willing to do the work, then she could, in fact, improve her situation. The other thing she absolutely knew was she needed to work hard to make this happen. If she did not do the work, what she most wanted to accomplish to take better care of her family and provide better would not happen unless she was willing to do the work. And then another lesson she learned was that of self-reliance, to depend on herself. You can't always, as much as you would like to count on it, depend on other people to do the work you need to do for yourself. And you can't, if they decline, then you have to be willing to lean on yourself and do what needs to be done. It taught basic skills, just about life in general, about if you don't know something, then do the work to learn about it. Don't always rely on others because some people may teach you wrong. People may not know themselves, or some people may just not want to help you. Fortunately, these things that she was learning the hard way in the barnyard were things that really gather us together as TOPS members. We have learned on whom we can rely and who will be there for us when the going gets tough. And we know who these people are who will help and empower us. Then the other thing she learned was persistence, to keep at it, to not give up, that there are different stages in any project, in any journey, in anything that you're working through. And if you just persist, that your efforts are going to pay off in the end if you don't give up. Another thing she learned was to ignore naysayers, because there are always going to be people around that are going to put you down and say, you can't do it. Why are you putting in all that effort? You're crazy for trying to do that. Are you putting in all that hard work? Well, it's important to be able to look past the naysayers and say, well, I see the potential here. I see the benefit to me and for those I love, and I am going to persist. And then she learned about rewards, very practical lessons about the benefits of initiative and hard work, producing tangible rewards in the end. Uh, she got to choose as well who was going to be the recipient of the rewards of her efforts. And that comes to a lesson about fairness. Were the animals who didn't share in the work going to benefit from it? Did they earn the right to benefit from it, in fact? So many of us have seen people that want a free ride, that want the results, but don't want to get the work, do the work to achieve the results that are necessary. Did the little red hen have the right to keep the fruits of her labor to herself and her family and not share it with those who didn't help? I'll leave that for you to ponder, because there is a time when we really have to look past what may be justifiable as fairness, and once again try to extend our hands to those who have learned some painful lessons from not helping, from not pitching in, from not being willing to take part in. I remember early on we discussed the tale of the ants and the grasshopper. And had it not been for the ant's willingness to look past the grasshopper's cavalier attitude and his basic laissez-faire, easygoing attitude that left him in danger of surviving the winter because he did not put anything by, the grasshopper would have perished. So fairness is always something you have to look at yourself and apply as you feel best. Compassionate care and concern are always a part of our lives. Fairness should also be factored in there too, but the balance has to be in place. As I thought of about this particular story today, I thought, even as a child, I began to understand, because of these stories shared with me, that life isn't always simple. Life isn't always easy. Life doesn't always have one solution or one pathway, but we have to persist. We have to learn. We have to grow. We have to practice fairness, forgiveness, compassion, support, all the things that are so important to all of us as we come together in TOPS to help each other find our individual pathways to the best health we can possibly achieve. So I'm thankful to the little red hen for teaching me lessons as a child, and today reminding me again of lessons learned in childhood. I hope you guys have a great day. I intend to. Let's keep the sun shining and keep helping each other. Take care now.